back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you all an interview I had with actually my sister. She's getting her master's in marine biology at the Moss Landing Marine Labs in California. She got her bachelor's in marine biology and also communications at University of Hawaii. And so now she's almost done with her master's, yay! And her plan is to hopefully get her PhD afterwards. She knows a lot about our oceans and is super educated and knowledgeable about marine life. So I've actually asked her to do this interview and help share with us some knowledge about our oceans and why it's so important to help protect our oceans and some things that we can do to make a change. I'm super excited to show you all the interview, so here it is.
Hi, my name is Brittany Madrigal, and I am the volunteer coordinator here at the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary Exploration Center. So I'm currently a graduate student at Moss Landing Marine Labs, and I'm a student in the vertebrate ecology lab, and I study marine mammal acoustics and specifically dolphin communication. The ocean is really important. The majority of Earth is covered by ocean, and so we have a wide variety and diversity of animal species that live in the ocean that are really important to protect, and lots of different types of habitats, a lot of which we have here in the Monterey Bay. So the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary Exploration Center is a visitor center for the public to come and learn about the sanctuary. And all of our ocean water out here is protected. Most of the Central Coast is protected within the sanctuary. And so much like you would visit a national forest or a national park, our national forest is underwater, so it's a little hard to get to. So our exhibits upstairs and within the Exploration Center kind of gives the public an idea of what's out there and the different species you can find and the ecosystems and habitats you can find out there in the sanctuary and how special of a place it is. One of the exhibits we have here is a Watershed Exhibit where kids can turn this wheel and it makes it rain, and the rain washes through a little watershed model, and kind of what we do is we teach people about how everything that we do on land that will eventually through the watershed system run into the ocean. And so all of our storm drains lead to the ocean, and so that's something to really think about and understand when you're thinking about what you're doing on land and how even what you do, even if it's inland and not coastal activity, can affect the ocean. One of the things we really emphasize is what you can do and how you impact the ocean. But what we start out with is we talk about the different types of habitats and ecosystems. So, by connecting people to animals like sea otters and humpback whales, we can allow them to kind of connect with this ocean and want to care about it. So then we can take people out to beaches and we can do beach cleanup activities and teach people, what we are doing does affect and impact our coastal oceans and even the deepest depths of the ocean. I think the biggest threat to oceans is pollution, and there's lots of different types of pollution. Plastic is one form of pollution that enters into our waterways and can severely affect animals. It can cause mortality in animals and entanglement in other types of marine mammals, for example. Other animals like albatross and even smaller organisms like fish, or smaller animals like fish, can ingest this plastic and it can cause them to die or become really, really sick. And so that's something we really need to think about. What we're really seeing in the higher level trophic organisms like seabirds and marine mammals is that they're ingesting these plastics or getting entangled in plastics. Something that happens is something called ghost netting, where you have these nets that are still catching animals even when they're not being used. Another form of pollution is runoff, so all of the oil from our cars, any sort of pesticides we're using in farms, all of that when it rains flows into our oceans through storm drains. And if you're seeing a high level of nutrients from things like runoff, that can affect coral growth and algal growth and cause there to be an imbalance. And I think pollution is the number one cause of a lot of really significant things that are happening in the ocean right now. For example, if you look at killer whales up in the Puget Sound, they're being, we're seeing that they're highly contaminated with this chemical called PCBs, which used to be in a lot of flame retardants and a lot of our materials and still is. And all those, chemicals flow into the ocean and, kind of move up the food chain in a process called bioaccumulation, and eventually these high trophic level predators have all this contaminants or highly contaminated. One thing that can happen within the ocean is a process called eutrophication, which is when you have an influx of nutrients. This oftentimes come from things like maybe pesticides and things that they use for agriculture, and all these nutrients, you get this high amount of nutrients, and so this can promote algal growth, for example, and this can cause there to be big, huge blooms of algae, which can actually be detrimental in some ways to the ecosystem, because if you have a bunch of algae at the surface, that can block sunlight for other organisms that may need that sunlight to survive, and so that's one thing that can happen from having an influx of pollution. There's lots of ways that humans can make a difference, and one thing is to become more educated about what's out there and learning about the ocean. And once you get really inspired and you really care about something, that's when you want to make a difference. And so that's kind of like the first step is understanding those ecosystems and what the ocean means for humans. There's things like you can use a reusable bag, for example, instead of using a plastic bag. One thing that we talk about at the Sanctuary Exploration Center is the fact that we have a leatherback turtle population. And leatherback turtles that come here, they eat jellyfish every summer and into the fall. And something that we see is that these plastic bags can look a lot like jellyfish. And when they do, these turtles get confused and they will tend to eat these plastic bags. And when that happens and they accumulate these plastic bags in their stomachs, so it can cause them to become very sick and may cause death as well. So that's something that we really educate the kids and the public about when they come here to the sanctuary, so that is something that could potentially happen. So they always want to make sure you bring your reusable bag when you go to the store. Another thing is to avoid using plastic bottles and to touch just about how you're washing your car and using products that aren't going to flow down with the rain and into your storm drains and eventually lead into the ocean. When you go get your morning coffee, you're using a reusable coffee cup instead of using a styrofoam cup or one of their cups. Not using plastic straws, that's a big one. A lot of marine mammals are impacted by plastic straws, and it can cause them to become very sick or die because of straws in the ocean. Conserving water, so like when you brush your teeth, instead of letting the water run for a couple minutes, making sure to turn it off. Taking shorter showers, anything that you can do to just kind of reduce your freshwater use is all important. The largest turtle in the world, and we're really lucky that it comes here to the Monterey Bay every year. So you don't want to eat a plastic bag, but you want to eat the jellyfish. And so this game is trying to show kids and the public that sometimes turtles can get confused. So what they do is they're able to move the turtle and try to get it to eat the jellyfish and not the plastic bag. Enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. So these choppy intertidal animals can teach kids about the different species that live within this range. This crust is an algae that grows on the rock. Taking things out. It's okay.